Hi there, it's Carol Doherty. Today, let's talk about how not to be aggressive at work. Too often, women, when we are being assertive, we're seen as aggressive. In fact, there was a study done by Harvard Business Review of the performance reviews done at one company, and women were much more likely to be cited as being too aggressive in their communication. In fact, 76% of the time it was attributed to women, while only 24% of the men were identified as having an aggressive communication style. It's really critical for women to figure out how not to be seen as aggressive. You are not going to succeed. There will always be people who see you as aggressive. That's their issue, not yours. There are some things that you can do, though, to mitigate it, to kind of be assertive without crossing over into that aggressive line. First and foremost, remember that assertiveness is about two-way communication. I have my rights, you have your rights. We both have the right to be heard. That's a critical point. And when you stop and you keep that in mind and you look at ways that you can effectively communicate, you can be careful that you're not pushing into the aggressive zone, if you will. And I think it can be easy to do because you're backed into a corner sometimes. You're pushed. People are, kind of coming at you all the time. How often do you get interrupted when you're speaking? You get frustrated. It's easy then to become aggressive. Learning to stay assertive will make you more effective. And when done well, people will see you as confident, competent, capable, which are all great leadership traits. And if you're careful, you can avoid becoming that bossy, witchy, mean, nasty, ugly person. Margaret Thatcher was called the Iron Lady because she was very assertive. Okay. I don't think she really cared, to be honest. She had a job to do and she was going to go do it. Now, for some tips around being assertive without becoming aggressive. Remember, when we're communicating, there are three key components of delivering a message. It's the words that you use, your tone of voice, and then your body language and facial expressions. And surprisingly, the words that you use are the least important. There's some studies that say that it's like 7% of the message delivered is the words that you use. 38% is the tone of voice, and 55% is your facial expressions and body language. Now, I will tell you, this gets really, really tough in a work from home, virtual, remote world. If you're only sending emails or Slack messages or team chats, all people have is the words that you used. And when they read it, they're going to be inserting their own tone and their own kind of attitude. How often have you seen a message or an email, and when you're reading it, you can kind of hear a voice in the background, and that voice takes on a certain tone. And if your last interaction with that person was negative, how much more likely are you to see that email as being snarky or nasty or, just disrespectful? For me, it's a whole lot more often because I'm reading my perspective into it. So when you're only dealing with emails, Slack messages, team chats, whatever it is, be really careful because people are going to fill the void with their own tone and their own attitude. So if you have something important you've got to say, an email is not the way to do it. Worst case, pick up the phone, call them, because then at least you're picking up tone of voice. And you can work on that tone of voice. You can have your tone be warm, be welcoming. Slow down the pace of your words. Pause. If you need to smile, they may not even see you, but when you smile, it does change how the words come out. And so you will change that tone of voice. If you're angry and you're mad and you pick up the phone and you're going to yell at them, you're going to be short, you're going to be snap. You're going to do things with the tone of voice that are going to show up and they're going to be heard. So be careful. Better yet, have a conversation face to face. Because when you're face to face, they'll see your facial expressions. You can smile, you can nod instead of be sitting there, right? Now, if you have a mask on, again, it's harder, but your eyes show a lot. So pay attention to that. And, your body language. Are you hunched? Are your shoulders up? Are your fists clenched? Are you sitting back, way back, where you're not interested? You're just whatever. Or are you kind of leaning forward and leaning into the conversation where you're interested, you're excited, you want to talk about it? Those aspects are such a huge part of it. So pay attention to your body language, your facial expressions. Are you looking people in the eye when they're talking? Are you kind of looking at them? And if they're saying something you're interested in, are you leaning forward? Are you kind of got a little smile on your face? Are you looking interested? Or do you look disengaged? Or do you have that RBF thing going on where you're sitting neutral, but it looks like you're mad? I've been accused of that on occasion. So pay attention. And when you can, build that in. Even if you're on the phone, build in your facial expressions, your body language. Act like you're talking to the person sitting across from you instead of over the phone, and pretend you're having a real conversation with them face to face. And you're going to put those tone of voice and those body language and facial expressions into it, and it will show up in your tone and people will read it better. So work to have some warmth. If you're trying to communicate and connect with people and assert yourself without becoming aggressive, watch for tone in your body language. Then pay attention to the words you're using. If you're using, negative, derogatory comments, obviously those words matter a lot. They have a lot of weight. But if you're using neutral words, the rest is going to show up from tone of voice and body language. So pay attention to those and work to be somebody who's interested in others. Stephen Covey said in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, seek first to understand and then be understood. And if you're trying to understand where the other person is coming from, you're looking for information about them. That's not aggressive unless you're doing it as an interrogation. And again, tone of voice, body language. If you're really seeking to understand, that will come through and people will open up. Pay attention to that sort of thing. Use assertive tips and tricks. Use I statements. Use an I statement like, I can't make that deadline. You're taking responsibility. Positive framing of the message. Instead of, I can't do it, say, I need more time. Or I can do that when I finish this. Then you're not saying, well, no, you're stupid. I can't make that deadline. What are you thinking? Say, I can't make that deadline because I have other things already in my queue. I can do it by this time. Pay attention to that tone of voice. Be calm, cool, collected. It doesn't have to be an argument. Relax your body language, particularly up through your shoulders and your neck. You can see it. Make eye contact and then really actively listen. When you do all of those things, it's easier to be seen as engaged, not aggressive. It's a fine line for women. I was once told I was brutally blunt. The boss was not wrong. Factory manager years later heard me telling the story and he said, that's wrong. You were told you were brutally blunt. A man would have been told he was straightforward and direct. So we have an uphill battle. Win it by watching your tone of voice and your body language, and then pay attention to the words you use. If you project the image of somebody who is engaged, interested, excited about possibilities, wants to know what other people have to offer, you won't be seen as aggressive. You'll be seen as assertive. You'll be seen as competent, confident, and capable. And ultimately, that's what we want. If you found value in this, please subscribe to my channel down below or go to insider.caroldoherty.com to sign up for notifications every time I publish a new video. Thanks and have a great day.